more than a pep talk. It's 2025. Donald Trump is back in the White House, and the Democratic Party is still holding strategy meetings. Somewhere between resistance memes and Roe rage, the Party of Progress has stalled like a broken-down Prius on the highway to 2028. And while Trump is out there rallying crowds like it's still 2016, plot twist, for him, it never stopped being 2016. Democrats are still wondering why their focus group slogans aren't hitting home. The working class divorce. It's not you. It's your latte. Let's start with the elephant in the room. No pun intended, okay. Pun intended. The Democratic Party has lost serious ground with working class voters. Once the proud defenders of the little guy, Democrats have somehow managed to become the party of tech bros, college professors, and NPR tote bags. Meanwhile, Trump shows up in a hard hat and says, "I've got your back," and boom, he's the blue-collar billionaire again. It's political cosplay, but it works. Democrats, on the other hand, are talking about climate equity, gender inclusivity in AI, and the carbon footprint of Thanksgiving turkeys. Important issues? Sure, but if you're in rural Ohio watching your factory shut down, that might not be the dinner table conversation you're craving. Messaging 101. Trump brings fire. Dems bring footnotes. Trump has a PhD in political branding. Make America great again is easy, catchy, and fits on a hat. Democrats? They've tried Build Back Better, Stronger Together, Fighting for Our Future, and about 7 other slogans that sound like rejected Disney sequels. Let's be honest, if your slogan needs a semicolon or a white paper to explain, you've already lost. Also, when every Democratic candidate talks like they're giving a TED Talk to a room full of Stanford grads, average voters don't feel inspired. They feel like they just failed an SAT question. Internal chaos. Gen Z versus General DC. Inside the Democratic machine, things are getting spicy. The old guard is holding tight to their podiums, while Gen Z activists are demanding climate justice, student loan forgiveness, and TikTok-friendly policy statements. It's like watching a family Thanksgiving where no one can agree on the stuffing or the direction of the country. Young organizers are begging for new blood and fresh messaging, but the DNC still seems obsessed with convincing Joe Manchin to join the group chat. Losing Latinos. A fiesta of missteps. If there's one voter group Democrats took for granted, it's Latino men, once considered a reliable bloc. They're now drifting right faster than a Miami speedboat. Democrats tried dropping Spanish ads and throwing in a few Bad Bunny references, but voters saw through the pandering faster than you can say, "Vota." Trump, meanwhile, shows up with law and order rhetoric, anti-immigrant bluster, and somehow still scores points. Why? Because he talks to people like they matter, even if what he says makes fact-checkers cry. The new strategy: post memes. Pray, repeat. In response, Democrats have launched a digital war room and started working with influencers. That's right, your political future may depend on a 23-year-old TikToker who once went viral for falling off a hoverboard while lip-syncing Lizzo. Great. Meanwhile, Trump just tweets, "Sorry. Truths," whatever pops into his head. And it dominates the news cycle. Who needs a war room when your every rant is a national headline? Final thoughts. You can't outrage the king of outrage. The Democratic Party is trying to win hearts and minds, but first they need to find their own. They've got smart people, noble ideas, and a ton of fundraising cash. But without a compelling story, a message that sticks, and a leader who can cut through the noise, they'll keep losing ground to a man who can rally a stadium by yelling, "Sleepy Joe," and doing a dance. It's not enough to be against Trump. People want to know what you're for. Until Democrats answer that, clearly, simply, and emotionally, Trump will keep stealing the show, the votes, and maybe another 4 years. Time's ticking. Democrats, America's reality show isn't over yet, and you're still backstage rehearsing. Trump declares verbal war on Putin. A turning point for a leader once accused of being soft on Russia? Washington, D.C. May 26, 2025. in a statement that sent shockwaves through the global diplomatic community. President Donald J. Trump issued a scathing condemnation of Russian President Vladimir Putin following the largest drone attack on Ukraine to date. Trump called Putin completely insane, warned of a comprehensive Western response, and, for the first time, publicly approved the use of U.S.-supplied long-range weapons by Ukraine to strike targets inside Russian territory. This declaration marks a stunning shift for Trump, who, during his first term, was repeatedly accused of being too friendly with the Kremlin. Now, in his second presidency, he's presenting a drastically different image: assertive, proactive, and unafraid to confront. Crazy man, Trump's strongest words yet for Putin. On Sunday, in a speech at the White House, President Trump declared, "We cannot stand by any longer. Vladimir Putin's actions are brutal, insane, and destructive to the civilized world. The United States will not stay silent. We are acting." The statement came just hours after more than 150 drones were launched by Russia into major Ukrainian cities, inflicting heavy civilian casualties and destroying key infrastructure. It was the most extensive drone assault since the war began in 2022. But Trump's response wasn't limited to condemnation. He also lifted range restrictions on U.S. missiles provided to Ukraine, allowing the country to use them to strike inside Russian territory, a move previously rejected by both the Biden administration and NATO due to fears of nuclear escalation. A diplomatic shift. Is Trump 2025 the same man as Trump 2018? During his first term, Trump was criticized for his ambiguous stance on President Putin. His infamous 2018 summit in Helsinki, where he appeared to trust Putin over U.S. intelligence regarding election interference, drew sharp criticism and was seen as a low point for American diplomacy. But today, Trump 2025 appears far more confrontational. Many analysts argue that the geopolitical landscape has changed, and Trump is adapting accordingly. The war in Ukraine has dragged on for over 3 years, straining the global economy and testing the West's resolve. Donald Trump is no longer a political outsider defying convention. He's trying to prove himself as a global leader, commented Professor Richard Cohn, a political historian from UNC. Trump seems determined to reshape his public image, not just as the man who will make America great again, but as the shield of the West against authoritarian aggression. Impact on NATO and global alliances. Shortly after Trump's declaration, several NATO allies, including the UK, France, and Germany, announced they would also ease restrictions on weapons supplied to Ukraine, allowing Kyiv to strike deep into Russian logistical bases in Belgorod, Kursk, and even Crimea. This unexpected alignment marks a rare moment of transatlantic unity, especially remarkable given that Trump was once accused of undermining NATO. Trump is using strength to unite the West. He's no longer pushing isolationism, he's pursuing conditional power projection. According to Foreign Policy. Reaction from the Kremlin: cold and threatening. In response, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov called Trump's statement a serious provocation, and warned that any attack on Russian territory will be met with an appropriate response, by all available means. Meanwhile, Russian state media compared Trump to wartime American leaders and accused him of bringing the world closer to full-scale conflict. Conclusion: is Trump rewriting his own security doctrine? The events of May 26 weren't just about retaliating to one attack. They were a geopolitical manifesto from President Trump, staking out the U.S. position in a rapidly shifting world order. From a leader accused of favoring Putin, Trump is recasting himself as a man of confrontation, clarity, and, above all, action. The only question that remains: is Trump taking too big a gamble? Or is this exactly what America's adversaries fear most, a president who is unpredictable, but willing to strike back when challenged? You've been watching news and commentary by Hailey D. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that follow button and subscribe for more updates. When Americans vote with their passports, the hidden message behind the surge in British citizenship applications. The fact that nearly 2,000 Americans applied for British citizenship in just the first 3 months of 2025 is not merely a social phenomenon, it's a sharp political statement. This is no longer just about a few individuals dreaming of tea time in London or strolling near Buckingham Palace. It reflects a growing wave of disillusionment with the U.S. political landscape, particularly following Donald Trump's return to the presidency. The second passport, a silent ballot of dissent. When Americans begin renouncing or supplementing their citizenship with another, like the UK, they are sending a clear message. They no longer feel confident in the stability, justice, or future of the nation they once hailed as the beacon of democracy. Choosing to leave the United States and seek soft political asylum in Europe, not through protests or elections, but via citizenship applications, is a subtle yet striking form of dissent. No one abandons the world's leading superpower unless they feel unsafe, unwelcome, or unheard. The record number of Americans seeking British nationality, precisely when Trump takes office for a second term, is not a coincidence. Political polarization turns into voluntary exodus. The United States under Trump's second term is more polarized than ever, with restrictive academic policies, such as the Harvard case, toughened immigration laws, rising tariffs on global firms, and a push toward a closed-off, fortress America. Many progressive Americans, tech entrepreneurs, scholars, and young professionals now feel the U.S. is no longer the land of freedom or innovation. The UK, despite tightening its immigration rules, remains an attractive option for America's middle class and elite, those with education, assets, and international networks. Their decision to vote with their feet reveals the depth of frustration that ballots alone may no longer express. The UK's calculated welcome. On the other hand, the UK government under Labour PM Keir Starmer has its own agenda. While immigration requirements are becoming stricter, such as extending residency periods from 5 to 10 years before permanent settlement, Americans are still treated more favorably than many other migrants from the Middle East, Africa, or South Asia. Britain appears to be embracing a selective immigration strategy, prioritizing those who bring skills, capital, and global influence. Americans, by that measure, fit the mold. Conclusion: passports as political symbols. The rising number of Americans applying for British citizenship reflects a collective disillusionment. As those who once believed in the American dream look to Europe for stability, we're witnessing not just a geographic shift, but a seismic political one. This is a warning sign that Washington must not ignore. It's not the loud protesters who signal decline, it's the quiet ones who pack their bags and leave. A society begins to unravel not when people shout in the streets, but when they silently walk away. You've been watching news and commentary by Hailey D. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that follow button and subscribe for more updates.